Hey there, this is Lee from Play Guitar Academy. I help frustrated guitar players get back to getting better at the guitar. Have you ever had a hard time making the switch between acoustic guitar and electric guitar, or the other way around? Today I'm going to give you some common sense tips to help make that switch a whole lot easier. So the majority of these differences can be easily overcome over time. And I'm going to give you a few tips to speed that up for you. So once you go from the acoustic over to the electric, or go from the electric over to the acoustic, over time, this is not going to bother you at all. The first tip is keep them both out. The guitar case should only be used, in my opinion, to transport guitars from one place to another. Once they get there, once they arrive to wherever you're taking the guitar to, they should be out and be seen. So if you're always putting your guitar away, throwing it in the closet, on the bed, so you're not seeing it, you're not going to play your second guitar. You're just going to stick to the one that you play all the time. It's not going to help with this transition. So not having enough time with each instrument, not being used to their differences, that's lack of time with the guitar. When you keep this and lock away the other one, you're just making it harder for yourself in the long run. And when you sit down to play, say you have somebody says, hey, let's go play some acoustic guitar, and you're used to playing electric all the time, you're going to be uncomfortable, and that's not going to be fun. It's going to ruin your time playing music. So the key is to keep both of the guitars in rotation, making sure you play them periodically. Don't let it go by, especially if you're an advanced beginner, we'll say, or an early intermediate player. I would pick different times of the day, and I would even put them in different rooms. So maybe put your acoustic by the couch, and where you might be watching TV, you might want to pick it up and play a little bit, and then keep your electric in your practice space. So keep them out in different parts of the house, and you'll be more likely to pick them up, because the biggest tip, honestly, is time. Spending time on these other instruments, then it doesn't seem so foreign. But how about experimenting too? Experimenting to make it easier to make the transition between the two guitars. The first thing I would recommend is make sure you get your acoustic guitar set up by someone who understands how to adjust an acoustic guitar. That's not easy to find. Electric guitar is much easier to set up. It's designed much easier to set up. So try and find somebody who's can really make an acoustic guitar easy to play. The bottom line is getting those strings closer to the fretboard. That's what's going to make your acoustic guitar easier to play, and it's not as easy as just turning a screw or an Allen with an Allen wrench or anything like that. So the next is try to experiment with the string gauge. If you've got very heavy strings on your acoustic guitar, I use 11s, which is a lighter set of strings. Not the lightest you can go, but a lighter set of strings. So if you're going from electric to acoustic, and acoustic is so hard to play, so difficult, try to get a lighter gauge of strings. It's going to make it easier to press down. But by the same token, I've had a lot of students who started off with acoustic, and then when they went to electric, they said that they always say it's like spaghetti noodles, right? They're playing the guitar, and the chords go out of tune because they're pressing down so hard because the strings are so light. So on the flip side of that is, for your electric guitar, if you're an acoustic player, mainly acoustic player, is get some heavier strings for your electric. It's going to make it much more consistent between the two guitars. And we don't want to have that big gap between the two. So try and narrow the gap right there. And this is a really good one. Don't leave this out. Don't be afraid to do this. Ask other guitar players if you could play their guitar for a few minutes. Just strum their guitar for a few minutes. If you're struggling making the switch between electric and acoustic, sometimes you might not have a good reference point of what a good guitar feels like. And once you know what a well set up, well played guitar feels like, you'll know the difference right away, and you'll know, okay, something's got to be done. It's a learning experience. Knowing how a guitar feels to someone who you think is a good player, who you like to listen to. Once you get that reference point, you'll know what the problem is with your other guitar. And it may be something easy to fix. It may be something that just time getting used to your guitar. Maybe your guitar feels just like theirs did. Or maybe it's something that you need, maybe getting a setup, do some adjustments to the guitar. Or it might be that this guitar is just not right for you. If you're playing other guitars and they're feeling good and this one never feels good no matter what you do to it, it might be time to switch guitars completely and try something different. Okay, let's go to my last tip. My last tip is about bending and sliding notes. This is a big one for people who are trying to make the switch. Coming from electric, we go this way, bending notes can be easy, especially if you have light strings. You sit down and just play those light strings. The first time an electric player tries to bend a string on acoustic, there's one word you hear all the time. Ouch, right? It hurts. It can be tough to bend strings on acoustic. You don't have the hand strength yet. You haven't built up your calluses enough. So the trick is to replace those bends with slides, sliding into the higher note. You just have to think ahead before you bend. First, find the note that you would want the bent note to reach up to, the higher note. Start from the note that you would normally bend and slide into that higher note. Slide right up the string. It's not exactly the same. It's not the same effect, but it's a very effective way of adding interest to your guitar licks, and you're not tearing your fingertips off when you're doing that. So, okay, so there it is. There's my my tips for people who are making a transition between electric and acoustic guitar. Really understanding the difference between the two guitars is the biggest thing. Thanks so much for watching the video. One of the biggest difficulties people have when they're switching between electric guitar and acoustic guitar is making their chords sound clean. I've got a free guide for you. It's my guide to clear sounding chords. It's over at playguitaracademy.com/chord guide. It'll help you clear those problems up and get back to having fun and moving forward on the guitar again. Take a second to subscribe to the channel, even press the little bell there to make sure you get all of the notifications when these videos are coming through. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on other videos in this series.